Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today I'm gonna start on the repair of the lower tube on this frame, and it's I've just thought about it, and there's several different ways you could go on this, but I think what I'm going to do is cut it in front of the mount where the original crack was, and then separate the tube from the lower down tube. And that is the easiest way for me to get another piece of tubing inside of it, but it's going to be kind of tricky too. Let me show you. Okay, here's where the crack was, and you can see here where it blew through the tube when they were welding it. So I'm gonna cut it right here, and then go up to here and try to separate it from this tube kind of surgically. And we've got to actually get in here. There's a weld here, so I'll have to cut down into that. I think I can get in there with a recip saw and probably cut that down to this tube, and then I'll probably kind of surgically cut this with a cutoff wheel. But right here, I think I can probably just cut it with the reciprocating saw. And like I say, the 3/4 tubing should go inside of this. And the only thing I'll have to do is I'll have to bend some here to get this around. I want to get it back about here if I can, and then about right here. And that way you're going to have your strength back in here. If I cut all this out and go all the way back to here, it's really going to be tricky to get the bends right here. So, and we still got to put the tube on the inside. So there's no real difference between doing that way and this way, except this is going to be a little simpler. And with this, once I put the tube inside, I've got to get it to slide. It'll slide up to here, and then I've got to get, you'll have some sticking out, and I've got to get this one to slide in. And in this case, I think I can just kind of push it in like this to reconnect here. This here, of course, will have to be matched so that so the two pieces will come together. But it's not going to be an easy trick, but it needs to be done because this has weakened that a lot. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to get that 3/4 tube inside of it. All right, I'm bracing this up. I'm repurposing some of the braces from the Yamaha. So let me show you what I've done here. Okay, I went in the motor mount here and I jam nut this on both sides, so this area right here will stay the same. And then I've brought this one up and braced it to the upper engine mount so that it can't move down or up. So we should have it controlled as far as movement. So the next thing that we need to do is, like I say, here's where it was blown through. So I'm going to come back here at kind of an angle and cut like this and leave that motor mount bolt in there. And then we'll come up and start kind of surgically removing it from this area. Okay, so I think the first thing I'm going to do is come up in here and try to cut that weld up to the down tube, and I'll try that with the reciprocating saw. Okay, I think I better stop there. The little bracket here is kind of in my way a little bit. I'm going to cut the corner off it. Maybe I can get in there now. There's not much holding it at this point. Okay, there's our piece. We're a little smashed there, so I'm going to have some trouble getting the pipe in there, but we'll get something in there to strengthen it. I actually thought this was welded flush on top of it, but actually it looks like maybe they cut a slot in the top of it and put it in there. Somehow or another we'll have to get something in there to help strengthen this. So we stayed out of the main tube, or the down tube rather. Got a little rust in there, a little rust inside this one too. But like I say, that disappoints me a little bit. But we'll get something in there to help. Okay guys, I think what I'm going to end up doing is cutting back behind the motor mount. It's round back behind that. It's only flattened right here. You can see where they've cut into the top of the tube to, they probably V'd it out to put the motor mount in there. So I think what I'm going to have to do is come in here and just do a temporary weld from here to this tube, and then from here to up here. here to here, to do my support. I'm not going to be able to work off that mount. So, you know, I can feel back in there and everything is round right after you get past that. So we'll just go back here, and then we'll have to bend a piece of 3/4 to go in there, and we'll slide it up what we can, and then try to get the piece in down here. I've got the new tubing I've got is the same as they had. 096, I think it is. And we'll just make a new tube, and then we'll V out this and put this back in. But that's really the only thing I can do. You know, I could go to a lot of work and bend the tube, flatten the top, get it in there, but then you're not going to have the inside tube up against the wall. So this way we'll put the inside tube in, and then when we notch in, we'll notch in to, well, the outside tube and a little bit of the inside tube, but it should be probably stronger than this side actually. But that's the best I can do. This crack's got to be fixed, and the whole purpose of cutting this apart was to get a tube inside it, and we're just not going to be able to do it without a lot of trouble here, and it's not going to turn out the way we want it. So I'm going to cut back another 3/4 of an inch probably, and take that out, and then we'll see what we can get in there. Okay, I knew that was too convenient, so I think I'm going to take and just tack weld this piece in. Let me get something to pull that down with. Okay, that should hold that. And I think what I'll do is I'll come off of, I'll take this one out, and then I'll just come down here, bring this down to here, and weld it right onto that tube. I'll probably have to cut it off first. Well, actually, I can't do that. I've got to get this one in place before I pull this one out. Otherwise, I could have a change in the where the frame is. So, first thing I've got to do is get another one welded in, and then I'll take this one out. Let me find a piece. Okay, so that should hold it. So I should be able to take this one out now. Sure would have been nice. I knew that was too good to be true, having all that, so I didn't have to do a lot of welding to the, temporary welding. But that's the thing that kind of, happens. I think maybe I'll leave this one in until I get it cut. That might keep it from moving around extra. Okay, nice round tube. That's the old, and there's your round. We will have to bend it a little bit, but you just got to do what you got to do, guys. I'm not an expert at this, not at all. But it's been my experience with other things such as this that, not everything goes the way you plan. You just have to adapt and overcome. It won't be too big of a bend, but we'll just have a little bit of one. All right, guys, here's the 3/4 inch stuff we're going to put in. It's good thick walled stuff, 120 wall. So that'll go in here as far as we can get it, and as far as we can get it into this other piece too. And there'll be a little bit of bending going on here because we're just starting the bend. So we'll have to get a little bit on that so we can still get it in there. Then we'll drill through here in 4 places and rosette weld the outer to the inner. And then we'll go ahead and do a circumference weld there and come on back up to the down tube. Let me get you off here so you can kind of see. I'll go ahead and clean this up so that I can get it ready to accept the new piece. And when it's all said and done, we'll just take a little V out of the top of that. And I think what they did, it's pretty obvious that they flattened it. I don't know that I'll be able to do that. I may try to just hammer it down, and that way we don't have to cut the tubing. I'd prefer not to, but by looking at the piece I took out, they cut the tubing to put that in. So it's not going to be easy, but we'll get her done somehow. And the other, let's see, let me get the other piece. Okay, here's my new tubing, and it fits just like it does into the other one. Just a loose fit, but when we rosette weld, you'll drill a hole, then you'll just go right down it with a MIG welder and get into this one and bring it on out and finish it up on the top so you don't see anything except the weld. And we'll do that at least 4 places on both tubes. And here's the piece we took out. right there. Now, I'm not going to be able to hold this, I don't think, and really show you very well. Let me get a stand. Okay, here's the piece, and this is how we cut it. So you can see just a little bit of a start of a bend here. So that's all we'll have to deal with. So if we get our bend right off the bat, then the rest of it is cake. It's just straight from there. So we just have to figure out our bend, and we should be golden. And this should be better than it was, better than new, because you'll have a lot more thickness of tubing in there. But anyway, anything that we do is going to be better at this point than having a blow-through weld. And you know, it might have been compromised enough just with some, well, no, I imagine the heat didn't do it any good, but I was going to say there's quite a bit of rust in there, but that's just surface. But that's what we've got, and we'll try to remove this piece. Well, I don't know, looks like they tore it up welding on it there, so I'll just turn another one out in the lathe, and then we'll stick, once we get the tube in, we'll stick the engine in there and line it up with a bolt. Weld it in. And see if we can give just that little bend that we need. One doesn't need much, so let me see if this is enough. Okay, it looks pretty good at me at 12 degrees. Right about there, I think. So I'll be cutting this part off right here. I had to have that much in to hold everything to bend it. But that looks good to me. Should do her, hopefully. Won't know for sure until I get it put down there, but you know, we can always bend another piece if we need to. Okay guys, let's looking at this again, and I'm still concerned about these foot pegs, and I go to number 23, which is a pin, and when you get there, you've got this number for the A and B model, and this number for the C and C2 model. And if you look at the first numbers in the part number, they do this with bearings and seals and a lot of the hardware. You see, this one says 8, this one says 10. So that means that these pins are supposed to be 10 millimeter for the C and C2 and 8 millimeter for the A and the B. So when I go over to the frame and I measure these holes, so I get right at 10, a little over 10 millimeter. So this, I've already verified, is a C2 frame by serial number. So these holes have never been drilled out. And when I made my new ones, I made them exactly like these. And I've got a bolt in that one. But so I'm assuming that when I bought these foot pegs off of eBay, I got an A or a B model. So I don't need to do anything here. I just need to drill these out to 10 millimeter. And then if you wanted to, you can make they're still available. You can order them from Suzuki. Matter of fact, Rocky Mountain says they've got 4 in stock at $249 a piece. But like I said before, I much prefer a bolt, a grade 8 bolt with a nylock nut, and that's what I'm going to use. I do have a piece of drill rod over there. I could still make some pins and drill them and put a cotter pin in them or whatever, but I think I like the bolts. That's kind of what I've been doing on a lot of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and drill this one out to in my case 9/16. I mean 3/8. 3/8. Yeah, 3/8 is 375, and this is about I think that's 399 hole or something like that. Yeah, so that's going to be close enough for what we're doing. This is a 9/16. I mean a 3/8. Come on, what's going on, Dale? This is a 3/8. I could make a pin that would take all that slop out, and it would be, I don't know, maybe I should. I'm going to think about it a little bit. But anyhow, that's the reason there. I just wondered, because these didn't look like they had been drilled. They looked factory. And I just couldn't understand why these were smaller. And they were kind of oblong there, so they need a little help anyway. And they've got the double reinforcement in there. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to drill these out, and then we can make pins, or we can go ahead and put bolts in, either way. I just thought I'd bring that up to you, and just in case you didn't know. There were a lot of upgrades made to the C2. That was probably one of them to kind of fix what was going on there, probably a weak point. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, here's my tubing, and I've just got to finish the fit down here on this end, and I've got this with my piece in it already, and that's kind of how it's going to look. I've just got this kind of jammed in there. It actually goes up just about as far as it does in this side, but this is how we're going to have to get this in there. It's going to have to be worked in, and it's, you know, if it were easy, everybody'd do it, right? So we've got to work on the fish mouth on this side, and I'm hoping that this will go in here and just about slide down. It may not quite. We may have to, I'm sure there'll be some jockeying around trying to get it in there, but we'll get it to fit the best that we can. So I'm kind of at this point here now where, there we go, where I'm just going to sit here with my little 2-inch grinder and work on this bird mouth, or fish mouth on this end, and try to get it to fit. And see, I've already tapered the pipe here, and I'll do the same to this one, and that will get us a good route for our weld. And I'll also do the same thing down here when I get this to fit right. I'm going to go ahead and pop this back out, and before we put that in permanently, we'll drill our holes on both sides for the rosette welds. This is just worked a little at a time. Right now I'm working the bottom edge of this, and I just come in with my little 2-inch grinder. And you just kind of work this slowly until you get that. See, we're getting to the point where we might be able to get it to pop down there pretty soon. So we've got to go at it slow, and it can happen a lot quicker than you think. It's getting lower and lower every time. Just a slow process. Okay, we're getting a little closer. Just keep working it. This is the edge I'm working. When this one starts to fall in place, then we'll have to start working this top edge. But see, this comes back and stops exactly in the same spot every time. So we're getting there. It's just it's a slow process. Take your time. Okay, we're getting close. We're touching just a little bit here yet, but it's starting to touch on the top. So I'm going to have to roll it back over here in a minute and start working on the top, because the bottom is pretty much in. Okay, I'm going to flip it back over, and we'll take a peek at the top of it again. Okay, as you can see now, we're starting to hit right here in the corner. It looks like the bottom will just about slide in, but the top is keeping it from happening right now. So we just need to take a little out here, and maybe that's going to be enough. Okay, I think we're just about there. I've got the middle tube removed right now. I've got my chamfer on both ends, and this is what we ended up with our fish mouth. And this, I've got, it's going to go in like this. And it just kind of goes in like that. So we've got about 1 inch or so in each end. So we're about in line with the one for the other, and we're lined back here. We ended up with about a 12-degree bend here, and I also placed the same 12-degree bend on the 3/4 piece that's on the inside and gave it a little chamfer here so it can make the turn as it goes in. So I think our next step is to go ahead and drill our 4 holes in each tube for our rosette welds. And then this will need to be, I had it fitted so that it pretty well fits snug there. It's just going to have to get this to cooperate with the rest of it. So I think we're getting close. So let me get with the drilling and we'll try to get that done. Okay, now we're going to make our new engine mount. So I'll be turning that down out of a piece of DOM. The hole, luck has it, is just about right. So we're gonna go for the we're gonna turn this down this way, I guess, to the bigger spot. That's the inside part that goes against the engine cases. So I've got that kind of lined out there. Actually, we need to mark where that starts. That's where it kind of where it ends. I can always face it off, but that's actually I went a little further, didn't I? Better. Okay, we get set up to cut it off. Okay, now I need to get an approximate location for the motor mount. And what we've got to do before we put this in is we've got to dimple this, kind of bend it down as much as we can to get this in before we put it in, because when it's still out, I can put it in the press and try to get that dimpled. You know, that's kind of what they did. They flattened this area, and I've just got it, the approximate location there. That's pretty good, and I'll see if I can get something to happen with this. We won't put it in until we get the engine in, but as far as welding it in, but it's got to be, because it's double tube now, so there's a lot of extra material there that's got to be bent. So that's my next goal, is to try to get some bend into that so that this will go, actually it'll go like that and set in there. So it's actually touching the top of it here now, but that's got it pretty well centered to where I'm certain that this is the area it needs to be in. Now I think before I try to dimple this, I'm going to try to weld at least one of these to keep that location, probably two of them, to keep the location of the tubing that's inside it. Okay, so I'm going to try to get this side one and probably the other inside one. This is just so the things won't move while I'm trying to dimple this. And like I said, we go right on the, we get right lined up here so we can run that wire right up into the next tubing. Okay, so we welded all the way out, filled that hole, and now it's locked in there. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this side too. That's kind of the area that we're going to have the most push on. Okay, so we'll let that cool, and then I'll see if I can shove it with something. Okay, I've got a piece of solid drill rod here in the press, and I'm going to give that a little push and see. Okay, so we've got a pretty good representation of it there, I think. Yeah. Okay, got it tacked in. Got our alignment pretty good here. I may have to use a rotary file a little bit. I had to use it a little to get it in, but I think it's pretty close. We'll probably have to trim it a little bit, but we'll wait until I can get the engine in and see what it's doing for sure. So we'll leave all this in until we get it welded in so it doesn't pull it away. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. Okay, here's the tube we put in. I put a little boo-boo in it there when I was trying to smash it. Should be okay. It just kind of, you know, makes you mad that you do something like that. There's the bottom of it. And here's the top. I don't know, I'm probably as good a welder as those guys were when they welded it, but I'm not a great one. You can see the rosette welds that we put in, and this of course is where our engine mount's going to go. We'll get the engine in there and then locate that and weld it in. But I'm pretty happy with it. It's just a big relief having that tube inside to strengthen that up. Okay, we've got the engine in there, and I've got it all the way against the other side, so it is where it should be, and then I've got just a small gap on this side, and I'm going to go ahead and tack it in. Okay, we've got a tack on both sides, so that should have it located. So there's that tacked in. I'll go ahead and take it the rest of the way. Okay guys, there you have it. I think we're done with our frame. All I need to do is either make the pins or go ahead and bolt up the foot peg. I think that's it. I've got a kickstand that I need to work on. It's kind of bent, so I need to straighten it out. But all in all, this went pretty good. Just my little boo-boo when I was, you know, when you're pressing something in the press, absolutely it's going to do something to the other side of whatever you're pressing. So I got a little nick there, but everything, it's okay. And I'm very satisfied with it. I think that with this other piece of tubing in here, it's going to be substantially stronger. And one thing I'm going to do also is I had a viewer, Robert, thank you. He suggested that I anneal all the areas that, especially that plate had been welded to, because all that was done with arc. and arc's extremely hot. And I ran that by a mechanical engineer, and he says, yes, that sounds like a good thing. So I just, we're gonna probably take the torch and heat it from around in here all the way back to just past the areas that all that was. So pretty much this whole area, we'll just heat that to a dull red, and then I'm going to throw a bunch of fire blankets on top of it and let it cool slowly. And that should eliminate any desire for this to crack. And that's, you know, when you've put that much heat on it, that's something that can really happen. I mean, we put heat on it here too, but nothing like that arc welder would have done. And he did continuous welds, and it was just a lot of heat. So I think this will eliminate any future problems by annealing that and letting it cool slowly. So I'm not sure I'm going to show that, but I may. I'm pretty much done with this for before Christmas. There shouldn't be another one. This will be the last one before Christmas, and then we'll see you probably again the middle of the Christmas week, or maybe, you know, I might go to after the first year. So if you don't see me, I'm still around. But I really feel confident about what we've done here, and I'll be able to very shortly get some paint on this. The engine fits in and out of there just perfect. We're pretty much done with the brake. I've just, like I say, got to get the other foot peg on, and I think we'll be rocking and rolling. Everything else is looking pretty good. So then we can move on to some other parts. So hey, have a Merry Christmas. And thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.